Hey, how's it going, Marty?
Hey, it's going well, John, and yourself?
Welcome to Coffee Tech Talk Tuesday after several weeks of break. I mean, the
Yeah.
last time we had this show, it was negative 27 degrees or minus 27 degrees Fahrenheit. I forgot what that was in Celsius, which I need to learn metric. I got to get it
It,
down,
it doesn't matter.
right?
It's cold.
But today it was 75 degrees today. So that's
Yeah.
more than $100 or $100 more than $100, 100 degrees increase in the last 2 weeks. I don't know. Anyway, who cares about the weather? We're
Hey,
inside.
I'll take it. I'll take it. No,
Yeah.
I like good weather.
Oh, I love good
Absolutely.
weather. Hey, so a lot's going on tonight. We have a special co-host guest, and we have a special guest, Anita from Slow Pour Supply, and then Coffee Project New York. Sum will be with us tonight. So that's
Awesome.
later on, and we
I'm
got
excited.
so many questions. I was like, after 3 weeks of being off, I'm thinking like, okay, new and used equipment. What do we do? I got some troubleshooting stuff for you.
All right, shoot me some questions.
I'm thinking like, a milk pitcher. It's a tool. We haven't talked about it, and we need to recognize this tool because it's kind of like everything that everybody uses it all the time. Even if you have a super automatic machine, you might have to need something to stir the milk in. I don't know. We're going to get a little bit more technical on that, or maybe
Absolutely.
raise the Anyway, and then what's going on in New York? I love New York. I haven't been there in a while. We should check in, right? So what's up with you, Marty? How have you been?
Oh, well, since we've had some time off, I've been working, and our shop is a mess. It's just been busy, 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 and I haven't had time to clean. So I'm glad we don't do the show in the shop because it's a disaster.
You keep on getting more and more equipment behind you too, and now you've got cameras. Are you fixing cameras?
Well, we are getting prepared. Believe it or not, we are lining up our ducks to do online classes, and that's part of the equipment there.
Are you like an AST?
I am SCA AST, yes.
Right.
And the discipline is in technical, like through the Coffee Technicians Guild and the curriculum that's been generated through that.
Oh, well, then you're going to help me out tonight because I got some questions for you. Hey, this is Sum from Coffee Project New York. Awesome. Okay. And that's Anita. Look at that. What a beautiful picture. Isn't that? It's like professional grade picture right there. And then we have these pour overs that I love. These are kind of shaped
that reminds me of origami.
I know my daughter's a folder. She folds like crazy stuff. And I was like, hey, can you fold me a cone like this? Then I could use it. But we don't have ceramic to fold. So that's really interesting. How do you fold ceramic? Right? Maybe we can ask the experts here in just a minute. And there's a couple more.
Sure. I know there's a lot of thought and design that went into that.
Yeah, look at the quality of the base.
And also, it's gorgeous. It's just gorgeous. If you're going to have a coffee collection of things and a little area in your house to do coffee, there's no reason that it shouldn't look gorgeous.
I'm hoping that I'm going to get a free sample. I'm going to even I got these stack of stickers that I get when I go to conventions, right? And I was like looking through them and I'm like, this is a cool one. I like this one. You guys have this one? That's a great one. She's the roaster. And I think this is what's this one, Marty?
Oh, I can't see it. I can't see it.
Oh, there it is.
Oh, that's Slayer.
There you go. Yeah. Look at all this free advertising we're doing for all these. This
Royal Coffee. Yeah.
KXP. Remember those days up in Seattle? God, I love that. They actually do some La Marzocco stuff, right? And then speaking of La, where's this one? Like that one.
My bar, yeah.
And then I was like, here's this one. I like this one. That's a nice one. Oh, and then the Good Life Halvesy. I ran that one last year. That was fun. And then In-N-Out Burger. Look at that one.
Well, yeah, absolutely.
I heard they're popular in California. This is one of my favorite events I've ever been to. I was lucky to go to that one, the World of Coffee in Amsterdam. I mean, it's in Amsterdam. Yeah. And then I was like, this one, look at that one. Guess what that is?
I know what that one is.
I was like, hey, I don't know what this is. I better figure out what this is. We should invite Anita onto the show. But I don't know. Yeah, well, we'll get to that. Anyway, hey, I got this espresso machine. Sitting in my house and it's for sale. You got one too, don't you? You should sell it.
We have several of them in there.
Well, check out what all this problem was though. I got it and it was like, I bought this espresso machine. It was used. So the pressure is off. There's no water in the sight glass, but there's water in the steam tank and there's this hissing noise. So let's watch this little, like, it's a quick video. I think whether or not you can hear it, it doesn't really matter. Water's coming out, but look at that gauge. It's going all cattywampus.
Crazy, yeah.
Cattywampus, is that a word for a gadget like
Hey,
that?
I grew up in a small town. Cattywampus, catty corner.
Oh, catty just means like off.
Yeah.
Like
I
catty
guess so.
circle, cattywampus. What's a wampus?
Yeah. I don't know.
So anyway, what's going on with the pressure? Or what's going on? Why was it make it like it's making a squealing noise too? Like,
Well, I'll tell you, if that gauge is correct and it's associated with a squealing noise, it probably is correct. Your pump, the regulator on the side of your pump is either way out of adjustment or it's frozen stuck and it's not doing any bypass when it should be doing some bypass regulating your pressure. So that squealing is coming from, since your pressure is way high, most machines, not all of them, but most of them, they relieve pressure at 12 bar. If you rise up as much as 12 bar, it starts putting that down the drain and it gets noisy.
And you got it right. Oh, totally. Well, and that's the first thing I went to. I was like, hey, so
yeah. I mean, you're pegging it.
Marty told me here, check this thing right here. This little thing on the side of the pump. You take that out. There's a couple parts there. There's some springs. There's like a little gasket. And then there's a bunch of calcium that seizes up everything. I just pull everything out, kind of clean it off, and maybe even lube it up a little bit with the food grade kind of stuff. And,
now, John, did you shut the water off before you did that?
Oh, I don't know. I was probably on. I was doing it. Yeah, I turned off the water. Sorry, turned off the water, unplugged the machine just for extra safety because look at all those wires. You're going to hurt yourself with all that water and electricity. But yeah, I took it out and I was like, oh, this is exactly the issue. But at first I wasn't quite sure. But the next thing I had was like, there's no water in the sight glass. But we had this problem last week, I think. I called you about it. I was like, hey, there's no water in the steam tank. What's going on? You said that there was a tube clogged, right?
Correct. Now, forewarning before we say anything, and I probably told you this, is that sight glass will look exactly the same whether it's completely empty or completely full.
That's right.
So it could either be that it's got too much water in it and you don't see that level at the top, it's above your eye view, above what you can see, or it's empty. And
that doesn't really work with the half empty, half full, like pessimism or optimism. It's either like you're completely empty or you're completely full, and it's not the opposite, right?
No, but you'll feel a whole lot better if it's completely full and you haven't burned out your heat element.
Well, hey, so water was coming out. I mean, there was steam coming out, right? And it has nothing to, and on an Astoria, it's that sight glass is measuring how much water's in the tank. So guess what I did to fix it?
Well, we hadn't really covered the other thing other than either completely empty or completely full.
Right.
Is if either of those tubes, because there's a return loop that includes that sight glass, if it's clogged anywhere in there, it won't represent the level of water in your boiler. So
either on the top or on the bottom, right? Because there's one that comes out of the bottom of the sight glass, goes to the kind of the mid bottom of the boiler, and then there's one that comes out of the top that comes out of the
exactly
the top, right?
And that has to be 100% clear for that water to be able to flow freely through that loop. And
yeah, and it's pretty common with pretty much all machines, right? I mean, this is something that if it has a sight glass.
Exactly. If it has a visual sight glass, then it's basically the same concept. Okay. So what'd you find? Did you find you had
exactly that? It was the bottom tube. The bottom tube is clogged because the other bottom tube that was clogged on the other Astoria last week that you were saying, hey, you probably need to take that tube out. That's what was the problem with that one too. So I'm thinking that, most machines after a while will get calcified to the point where you're not going to have that free flow and you're going to have to just kind of take off that copper tube very carefully, call your technician to do it, and have them do it professionally, because that's what Marty does best, and I'm learning to do it okay. So anyway, the next one is the hissing noise coming out of the top. What's the most common problem on espresso machines? Like, it's making noise and it's hissing all the time. What do I do?
We get this 100 times a year. There's a valve that's called the vacuum valve, and manufacturers have other names for it, but basically it's to let the air out as it's building steam, so that you don't have air and steam mixed in there. You have 100% steam, so it lets it out. It also protects you from skunking your boiler by when you do shut it off, or if something goes wrong and it starts cooling down, instead of creating a vacuum by the condensing of that steam, and you as an unsuspecting barista walk up and you open that steam valve with your milk pitcher stuck in there, and that vacuum pulls the milk up all the way into the boiler, which is not a pretty thing either. That vacuum valve protects that. But every time you turn the machine on, heat it up and turn it off, if you do cycle it that way, you're exercising open and closing that valve, and they wear out. Even if you leave it on 24/7, there's a rubber O-ring that does go bad. So that's probably most likely your hiss.
Okay. So I picked up this espresso machine. I fixed it myself because I've been doing this for a couple of years. I mean, not to your level or expertise by any means, but this took me a little while and it took me a little bit of knowledge. But let's say I bought this machine off of Facebook or somewhere like Craigslist or whatever.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, this thing is a piece of junk. Now I got to call someone to fix it. How much would this cost to fix? Not to give you a direct number, but you can say, like, in general, how many hours, like, then you have to bring it, and like, what's the trouble here? Like,
well, it's going to cost labor, and every market's a little bit different. Somewhere in the Midwest, it's probably going to cost you $75-$80 just to get the guy out there working on it, and he'll give you an hour's worth of time. In New York or someplace where the cost for services are higher, it's going to cost you quite a bit more.
Yeah, it could be over 100, like 100, like even in Lincoln, you can find some places where,
and that's just for him to get there and his expertise to get it fixed. The part itself, if it is just that, if you're able to change the O-ring, you're talking about 30 cents. If you splurge and you do the whole thing, you're talking about $30 for the part.
And just digging into that machine and cleaning out the sight glass, and then also all three of those together, it's quite a job. And I think that those were mild issues, to really, to say the least. That was not a bad deal, not something out of my wheelhouse to fix. But I think a lot of shop owners could get very dangerous if you're trying to do this yourself, because there's a lot of wires in there, and it's extremely dangerous to fix yourself. So please call a technician.
It is something that's above and beyond changing gaskets and things like that. But it's not beyond the capability of a lot of shop owners, with someone guiding them, or with some training to keep them from breaking or hurting themselves.
Hey, does it look like I'm standing up today? Because I got a standing desk.
I thought you might have grown a little bit.
I started a new job. I can't wait to talk about it next week. But like, I'm going to be sitting down a lot more, or at least I'm going to try not to be sitting down a lot more. So I'm going to be standing up, but I'm going to be like an action pose all the time. Just be like, I'm ready. Let's do this. Let's go. Right. But in the meantime, let's talk about new or used. Let's talk about new real quick. I don't think there's not a lot to say about new. Look at that. I don't know if I got it on the drip tray, maybe I didn't, but you can still see the fresh, like, stainless steel white print on that La Marzocco. There's nothing wrong with this thing. There's nothing to fix. It's just, there's just everything to learn. You're like, okay, we'll fix it later, but let's just learn how to use it now.
I will say this. Let me throw some salt in your wound on this.
All right, let's go for it. What do you got?
New is not always the best route to go.
But
there's some caveat to that. If you happen to buy new and there's no one in your area that works on that brand, and it's unique a little bit, I'm not saying the brand new unique.
You just said it, but you're right. You got it. For example, or not.
If you don't have someone that is familiar with that particular machine, then you're gonna have some problems down the road. So new known equipment and someone in your area that can support it, that's good. New, something that you can't get parts for or anyone to fix it, that's not so good.
And, I mean, there's a cost there, like there's a lot of people that
It
are
is.
kind of building out a new coffee shop, or they have a budget, and it's just it can add up quickly. So I think a lot of people, rightfully so, are looking for equipment that is used. And you know, there are two different types of used equipment. There's good and there's bad, and there's somewhere in the middle, right? It's like half empty, half full sight glass. It's either you got lucky or you didn't, or you're somewhere in the middle, but you budgeted for not getting lucky. But
Yeah.
let's say, for example, you score like a 2-group La Marzocco on Facebook Marketplace, and it's only, well, it's a really good deal, and you're like, why not? And like, in my world, I might just buy this for parts and just be like, I'm going to just take a gamble, and you know what? Maybe I can fix it. Maybe I can't. I can't. I have to buy it sight unseen, because he's like, I need the money up front. I'm like, okay, it's probably bad. I mean, you could look. You pointed this out, Marty. You could look at the gauges and tell right away something's wrong with it.
Yeah. Yeah.
And we could
yeah.
talk about that. But it looks nice. But like, to the average consumer, this is a nice looking espresso machine. For that price, I would buy it and lickety split and let someone like you fix it. And then you'd say like, well, it's going to cost you a bit. So let's talk about this machine. Here you go. No
All
side.
right, let's back up just a little bit.
Because I got some stuff coming.
And the whole point on this is even though it might look like a pretty good deal, you still
Right.
need to know a little bit about it and have somebody that does know a little bit if you don't.
Exactly. Yep.
Kind of go over this, because as soon as I saw this, I immediately knew that we needed to investigate further, because there's a problem, and it was that gauge.
Yep.
That led me to that.
The
So
second
John,
problem.
what did I look for once I pointed out the gauge? You were there.
Well,
what did I say? Look for this.
Yeah. And well, the second thing that you said was like, well, there's no side panel. And I was like, yeah, I know that was a part of the deal. I didn't even have pictures. I just had to just buy it because I was already in town or whatever.
All right. The
But
side
anyway.
panel told me someone was looking at it.
Right. But before we get to that, on the top, we see some calcification on that cross fitting. One thing I noticed here, obviously, was like an old thermostat. Switch that over to PID. That's like what, $700 with labor, market value, something like that. That's right away. It's like you might have to do that if you want to bring it up to a certain level. And then you pointed this out, like, ooh, that could be a possible issue with that welding. But
yeah, that right? particular fitting, we see obviously it leaked, but here's one of two options. Either it's leaking at the threads, which that would be a good thing, because we can fix that with cleaning it up, maybe a new probe.
Right.
That's easy to fix. But at the base of that, where it meets the boiler, if it's leaking at the boiler, that means a new boiler.
Or can you re-weld them?
You can, but here's the liability that you get into. All of these boilers, and we'll probably get people say, "Oh, well, I can do that." Well, you can. If you want to assume the liability, you can. But all of these are certified for the pressures that they're designed to run, and right. the people that weld them are certified, and it's all backing of groups and people that will support this manufacturer, because they're doing everything right. So if you weld on it, if you weld on it, you're assuming all of
your liability. And you know what the next photo is going to be, right? Because you've seen it.
I do. And this is what I was looking for.
And so what happened here? Gauges. So what's the gauge signify?
The gauge told me that.
And we got to get our guests on. I'm like thinking like, oh my gosh, we're rambling on here. We got some quality.
So the gauges being askew like that told me that machine had been subjected to some cold weather, because that's the very first thing that starts going wonky when it starts freezing.
Right.
You can see this and not have any problem if it didn't go too long.
So that white should be at 0 and the red should be at the bottom 0, but the red is like wiped way around. It's absolutely just cattywampus.
It is totally cattywampus.
Cattywampus.
Right, so if go back to that picture, I love it.
You mean this one?
Do you see that little belly sticking out there? Like
it's like the boiler's talking to you. It's like whispering something like, "I'm broken."
When that was manufactured, that dome was actually concave. It was in.
Oh.
And then, of course, if your eyes move up just a little bit, see that seam?
I know what happened. Too much electricity.
No, if you're in Texas, it's too little electricity, and that thing froze.
Hey, there you go. It froze. great sign of freezing. And then it blew out the weld and it's, you know,
Yeah.
this boiler, how much does this boiler cost retail from Walmart?
Um,
About a couple thousand, something like that? Thousand? Something
Retail,
like
it's pushing $3,000.
that? Yeah. And that's just for the front one, not the back one.
Exactly.
Right. So like you're looking at rebuilding this, you know, you might as well just buy a better one.
You could easily get $5,000 in parts if you went with
All right.
all new
My
on that
point
machine.
my point here is not all used espresso machines are that bad. They're not all that bad. Here's one, for example, that I have in my house that I plugged in because I got a 220 line in my kitchen because that's what I do. I'm running water through it. I'm looking at the gaskets, looking at the screens. I'm checking out everything. The steam is just beautiful. The gauges are working well. You know, I mean, yeah. And everything is clean on this thing. And it's relatively new. So this is a pretty good deal, I think. And Marty, I think you've seen every once in a while, but sometimes it's hard to even tell before you plug it in. If the gauges are looking good, you still, I mean, you're still running a risk, right?
Exactly. You still, it's
I found this one
it's
used.
always a risk. Sure.
You like this one?
I do. I like that
Yeah.
one.
You
Um,
rebuild these too, right?
We do. We
In this,
rebuild a
and
lot
probably,
of these.
actually, I think you powder coated this one. And there's the inside of it. And you do this, you do this type of quality. And this is the one project I've done, and I'll probably not do it again for money, but like, it's a lot of time and money and effort to where the point where it's like, it's almost, well, it's the best way to get a good deal on a used equipment is to buy it through someone like Marty or, you know, myself. You can buy one. Trust me, pretty much. And
It's
I'll be
just
happy.
like buying a used car. If you're going to buy
Yeah.
a used car, be friends with a mechanic. If
Yeah,
you're going to
and-
buy a used espresso machine, buddy up with someone that knows how to do it, or like
Yeah.
you, John, get
Yeah, and-
kind of buffed up on your own knowledge there.
And I'll say, listen, if you buy an espresso machine from me, or if you have in the past, come talk to me. We'll work it out. We'll make it right. And that's, you know, simple as that. Like, you know, I will inspect. I don't want to sell junk, so I go through everything. So that's my sales pitch today.
I love it. I
And
love
Marty,
it.
you do the same thing.
I totally support that. If we buy it and we sell it, I guarantee you we've had it torn completely down.
Okay,
And-
so we're
and
gonna back up.
Let's bring some guests on.
We're
I
gonna
could talk to you
bring
all
on
night.
first. Look at that. Look at that. Real good presentation there. Anita, you're
Boom.
coming on. Come on. Okay, and so Sum, you're coming on too.
Yeah.
There we go. There we go. Hey, how's it going?
Hey, good.
What
Hi,
a
Marty.
wonderful
Hi, John.
transition of like all that PowerPoint. I'm using Keynote on Mac now for my
Mhm.
presentations. Does anybody do that? Do you guys use Keynote? I don't know.
Yeah,
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
I thought PowerPoint was like the go-to, or like Google Slides. Now I'm like Keynote, and I'm trying to figure it out. So anyway, welcome to the show. So
thank
Thanks
you.
for having me.
yeah. So Anita, I wanted to chat with you first because I was
Yeah.
A couple weeks ago we had Holly on the show, and we were talking about you know throwdowns and latte art throwdowns, and Holly was like, hey, you should reach out to Anita. I'm like, oh, that's a great idea. So why should we be talking to you about latte art? What do you do? What's slow pour supply about? And actually, you know, we saw some of the pour overs, but I didn't see
Right.
any of the milk pitchers. Do you do?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
You didn't.
Do you have any in
didn't fit
front of
those
you?
on.
There it
That's
is.
the
Awesome. That's almost my favorite color.
I love this color. It's like a shimmery, metallic color.
And
That's
it's
also-
beautiful.
It's
And
also really
also-
great because this is a very thin material. So we have a slow pour supply to start with. We've been in market for 3.5, 4 years now. We started as a single product company for 2.5 years. So we've only been selling milk pitchers, WPM milk pitchers for 2.5 years. So we have a lot to talk about when we talk about milk pitchers, because I do think that milk pitcher has always been something that people just put in the back of their head, and they kind of just thought that you can use milk pitchers are just milk pitchers.
I think it's a good tool to have behind the bar. I mean, what would you do without a milk pitcher? I mean, it's really hard to steam milk in your hands. I mean, that would be
Well,
very difficult.
well, first of all, these milk pitchers are a little bit different than the traditional ones. So I think Marty knows a lot about suitable sizes like wrenches and like screwdrivers and all these things. So you need to have just the right size for your equipment. So we need to just to have the right size for your cup sizes.
Have you ever used a 32-ounce milk pitcher on a prosumer E61 group head with 110 volt and try to, make a 6-ounce latte with it?
No, but I did with a
That's my
32
challenge.
ounce. I did with a 32 ounce trying to make a 16-ounce dry cappuccino. There used to be a customer come in and do that. So just like a long story short, we have 4 different sizes, non-traditional sizes: 10 ounce, 15, 17. This is the 17. 22 ounce, and we have multiple different spout shapes, and spout shapes means like the tip of the spout has a different shape. This gives you a different angle of pouring, and it gives a different thickness in terms of how the milk comes out onto your crema, and it correlates to the cup size, so it cuts down the milk waste, and it also gives you a perfect horizontal flow.
Yeah, do you have Marty clamp all of them, because he has a tool that clamps like milk pitchers?
Well,
hey, I will say this. Let me interrupt just a second.
Yeah.
When we started, you see this? This is a tool that we built. This was when people started knowing that there's a difference. Now, I haven't used this in a long time, and the reason I haven't is because there's some fantastic manufacturers and places like Slow Pour are selling them, that we don't have to do that. The market has caught up with the need.
But Marty, I really want to try that thing out. I really want to see how that.
Well, hey, we should bring on. Let's bring on Sum to the conversation too.
Oh yeah.
Yes.
Hello, everyone.
Hi, Sum.
Can you bring on Sum? All right. Hey, how's it going?
Going pretty okay. How's everyone else?
Good. I'm trying to pack in 4 episodes into a half of an hour. And I just thought it'd be kind of fun. It's like, hey, and New York. And so Anita, a couple weeks ago, we invited, this idea of having like an international latte art throwdown, and we got to New York, which is good. And we were thinking about maybe Brazil or India or wherever in the world. But why don't we start at home, like in New York City? And I thought New York City is always like the what do they call New York City? The World City or something? I don't know. What do you call New York? Sum?
Oh, I just call it the Big Apple.
Okay, Big Apple. It never sleeps. Everybody's like wired on.
Yeah, the city that never sleeps. Yes.
It never sleeps. And
I have coffee at 11 p.m. Double espresso. Totally
without coffee, that would be hard to do. So, Coffee Project New York. What is that about? And why did Anita say that we should talk with you? Because like I heard you're like doing a lot of stuff. And what's New York City about these days? And do you use her pictures?
Every single picture in our lab is from WPM, from Slow Pour Supply, in fact, and all our baristas love it. So we have been pouring using Slow Pour Supply's picture.
Nice. Which color do you use?
So the one that Anita has is one of the favorite from the bar, because with that thin line, and because it's so thin as well, when we try to steam on, we can get the temperature right. So that is like making sure the coffee is not too cold or too hot. So that's one of the favorite. I also really like round spout. That's one in particular that was done for IWCA. I'm not sure if you remember that, Anita, the one that is gold plated.
Yeah,
that's my favorite service picture as well. So I do that all the time. It's good for pushing. It's good for Rosetta. It's great.
Wait, I would say a gold plated milk pitcher is probably anybody's favorite. I mean, I would use that. Is it made out of gold, or is it just like plated?
I think it's just plated. Oh, maybe it's bronze. What do you call it?
It's a rose gold.
A rose gold. Yeah.
Nice. Nice. Well, hey, so I wanted to bring up this photograph too, because I heard you were a co-founder. So there's someone else in the picture that actually cropped out because I didn't have a lot of time. And I'm like, let's just go with 1 or 2 guests, but not 3. But partners are important. So who is your partner, and what happened long ago to say, hey, let's do this thing in New York?
So Kalina wouldn't mind being cropped out. In fact, she's like really busy planning for her class tomorrow as well, because she's teaching. But this is Kalina Theo.
Hi.
My life partner, my business partner, which is also watching the live on the other side of the world. Not really.
Thanks for watching. Thanks for watching.
literally on that side of the room, if I can
Okay.
say, but no, okay. But yeah, so we started Coffee Project together in 2015. She's pretty much someone that I can rely on a lot. She's the director of education for Coffee Project New York. All the education syllabus and all that is planned by her. We're both AST. She does brewing and barista, while I do mostly roasting sensory. If she needs, I can help with brewing and barista, but most of the time she'll be like, okay, I do everything else. So
For the audience out there that doesn't quite is not familiar with what that means, AST, what does that mean? Just like a quick rundown, and why is that important, and what does that do?
So SCA is a term for Specialty Coffee Association. We are authorized trainer who can actually train coffee professionals or anyone who wants to learn a little bit more about their coffee skills program. If we have to follow some standards that we go through and be able to relay the messages that we're supposed to be sending.
And so Marty, you kind of are going to be set up for that more in the technical aspect, where some you're probably more in the barista technical aspect, or other. What other focuses do you have? Some, and Marty, go ahead. We have a question.
Well, I was just going to ask some. We currently have a lab in Kansas City, but during COVID, we slowed that down, and we're actually going to reopen it as a technical training facility, not the skill sets that you guys train, which we used to, because there's some great labs like yours that are doing that out there. And so we're going to try to fill a niche that's not being filled and let you guys do what you do. But what's been the biggest challenge as far as your lab? And I'm asking that because we basically closed the doors. So you guys are still doing classes. Hats off to you. So what did that look like this last year?
So it's particularly challenging. Just like when it first happened, we actually had to close our doors. So no in-person classes, no classes at all for almost 3 months. And then we obviously got news from SCA that, hey, foundation level classes can be done virtually. Then we started planning. We talk a lot and also chatted a lot with Ben Health. And he has provided a lot of information on how to do things. So, and then we decided to carry out our online virtual classes, not so much on the hands-on roasting, because I still feel like sometimes in order to have people to come in and roast together, in-person roasting classes would be nice. But we've been doing a lot of introduction to coffee online, which is one of our most popular class in the lab. I think it's such a nice gesture to tell people how coffee is from seed to cup and cover the entire supply chain. So that's one that helped us kickstart the program. And slowly we started doing brewing foundation. But just about maybe 2 to 3 weeks ago, we started in-person class, fully controlled, temperature taken, 4-person class.
Okay.
We have, our lab is big enough to actually accommodate quite some students. So we just make sure everyone feel comfortable.
And you also have, outside of the training aspect, you have a couple cafes. Is that, and this is one of them, right? I love the decor. I love the look. It's beautiful.
Thanks. Yeah, so this is our location in Brooklyn. So when you see there, that's the 2 steampunk that we got, and the 4 stools over there where people sit. It's actually something I created back then, where I wanted that part to be a stage for the barista to make pour over and chat with the customers.
I see.
Yeah, I particularly love that position, to sit down, really see what the craft is all about and engage with the customer. I think that was also the first time, not this location, but I invited Anita over to Long Island City where I make a pour over for her in an exec setting. It just feels,
Wait, where's the espresso machine?
So this is the other side of the coffee bar. I have this side of the coffee bar. There you go. That's our
Is this the other? Okay, I didn't know if this was a different location or the same one. So there
it's the same one. Yeah,
and
this is our Brooklyn location.
That's a Sinesso, right?
It's a Sinesso MVP.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. Hey,
Is
Tom,
that-
talking about, sorry.
Go for it.
Talking about showing the craft to your customers, and right now it's kind of harder for people to be in the shops and fully engage with baristas and spending more time behind like just staying behind and watch the baristas. But I noticed that you have done a couple of different projects on Instagram almost weekly and very regularly. Can you tell us a little bit more about that?
Thank you. The most recent project that we actually did was actually a collaboration with Heart of Dinner. I think I saw some bags of coffee right behind you, Anita, like right over there.
Let's see them.
Yeah, so this is a project that is so very dear to a lot of us here in New York City, especially for folks who's in Chinatown, maybe, because so the collaboration is between Coffee Project and Heart of Dinner, which is a nonprofit organization where they make meals for the elderly in New York City. Like all the grandfather, grandmother, or what in Chinese we call gong gong and po po. Yeah, so yeah, and very beautiful collab with the founders, Wen Ling and also Yin. We came together, pick a coffee, bag them, and have it all bought. So all the fund raised from this project is used to make meals and deliver to the elderly homes. And so far, yeah, so far I think at least 180 meals has been sent.
Wow,
that's fantastic.
Yeah, but
so did you roast all these?
Yeah, I did. Yeah, Heart of Dinner itself, I think, has done like 50,000 meals so far, but this project is at least 180 meals.
But and you said multiple projects, right, Anita? So there's something else going on. What else you got? What else is going on?
On the plate right now, we also have a scholarship in collaboration with Shobani, where we are actually going to be giving 6 African American baristas 2 SCA pathway class, Introduction to Coffee and Barista Foundation, because it's online. So we have to just pick something that is easy and virtual. It's across USA, and we'll be shipping them Breville Barista Pro espresso machine, all the equipments that they need to use to participate in class, hoping that they can actually learn something and then contribute back to the community in their neighborhood. How do
you get in touch and how do you get involved if you're interested?
Like all this? We have a lab in New York City. I think that's also one point of contact where people find it like, hey, maybe this could be a hub where we can actually do a lot of things together. So that's how we started with the concept like that. And Kalina herself is very involved with like SCA and classes as well. Like myself as well, I'm also pretty active in the community in New York City. Oh, that's Friendly.
Isn't that a beautiful picture too?
Yeah.
Is that one of those Anita pictures? Is that?
Yeah, this is our favorite picture to pour on.
What does it say on the side?
See.
What's the
never stand still.
Nice.
Keep going.
Yeah. So this is like good for like free pour.
And there's another one. That one looks cool. So pretty good with latte art, seems like.
Hey, I want to touch base with that latte art thing that you're doing on Mondays.
Anita, before we do that, I know that those bags behind you, you weren't part of that. You're just supporting that by buying that.
Yeah.
But in your own right, along with all the cool stuff that Sum's doing up there in New York, you guys with Slow Pour, you've always, I saw you down in Houston supporting the Tech Guild and was a sponsor for that. If you get people get on their website and see what all they do. There's a huge list of stuff that are supporting communities and things like that. So you brag a little bit too, Anita. Tell us what you guys have going on.
I'm also going to hop in and jump in and say something really important as well.
Do it.
You know, in New York City, at one point of time, we could not get access to masks, PPE. Like impossible. Like one full case or maybe one small case of masks costs $120. And we have so many baristas to supply on. And I was just ranting on Instagram, like, you're opening indoor dining when we cannot even get masks. And then the next day, maybe 3 days later, I saw a case of masks right in my delivery room from Slow Pour Supply, Anita Tam. I'm like, Anita, you're the sweetest angel.
Oh, that's awesome.
Well, but I mean, we do what we can, but yeah, I think one of the the most important thing right now, as we see in the back end as distributor for coffee equipment, is how to support the front end, and that's super important. How to keep people safe in the front. So we did a couple of mass runs, mass supportive projects, but regularly we have a donation to different organizations that's just automatically deducted from the sales. So people are not paying extra to purchase anything, but a certain percentage, it fluctuates. Certain weeks we highlight certain organizations, and if there's something going on that they need more support, we ramp it up to a higher percentage. But that's something that we do regularly. But we're really just doing what we can, small steps there. But yeah, Sum has a lot of great things going on too with latte art, and I saw on Mondays.
Yeah.
Yeah, you have
How
some
do you-
Instagram stuff.
So is it on Instagram? What's the Instagram handle that we can check out to join that conversation?
So on our end, it's called, you can follow Coffee Project NY, and we call it the Pour Party by at DQ Fluke. So his name is Fluke, and he is very passionate about this craft of art where we're gonna make latte art and milk frothing, the science behind milk frothing and the use of technique on different pitcher. So he's our latte art instructor, and his class is always full, like every single time.
Really?
I personally learned a lot from him. So maybe 2 Mondays ago, I was a guest in his show, and he taught me how to do regal rosetta.
Oh, what was that?
It's a regal rosetta, like
Oh,
a regal
okay.
bun.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we can all make rosetta, but his ideal is to make a perfectly symmetrical rosetta with a wrapped around bottom. So it's all about that right amount of push, the right amount of wiggle, and also the thickness of milk.
Well, this is a beautiful picture too. I mean, if you look at, that's in a to-go cup, right?
Yes, that's a to-go cup.
And just the rings around that heart. The definition and the contrast and, yada. I tried to do some latte art competition judging back in the day, but I've kind of lost my, I don't know, abilities on that. But we talked about this, Anita, I think a couple weeks ago, like, or even, we were talking about latte art in to-go cups. How has, I guess, COVID changed customer service for you in New York City in general? And that's a big, vague question. How would you like to answer that?
Okay, if we're talking about like basically service side, like, so you
Yeah.
know how some people have this mentality, like, I'm going to make coffee for you. It's going to be covered in a lead anyway, so I'm just going to pour whatever.
Doesn't matter, right?
Doesn't matter. But the fun part, and I'm really proud of the team, is they still take a little bit of pride in whatever that they're making. So even though it's in a to-go cup, at least they can actually pour a heart on it and all that. They know the next 3 seconds later, gloves on, lid on. But that's okay, because they know that the customer who get their cup of coffee knew they made something for him.
Oh
like
my
the
gosh.
customer,
I want to get a t-shirt that says gloves on, lid on. That's so catchy.
Well, I guess you need to get this T-shirt actually. We have a T-shirt says "Can pour."
Oh, that's
Pour.
nice. That's my favorite band, Ken Pour.
But yeah, baristas get creative. Like pouring in to-go cup is a little different. Like for me.
Yeah. And I'll even argue that like having latte art, it's not just about how it looks, it's how it's textured. And that has something to do with flavor and whatnot. I mean, is that just me? Or like you can just put a lid on it, doesn't matter what you do as long as it's hot.
Oh, no, 100%.
Right?
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, it's an intentional practice, actually. It's
Right.
so much that's going on, and it's something that is changing throughout the time that you're making it, and you have to be very intentional with what you see in front of you and how you manipulate the next step. So it's very much like calligraphy to me.
I have a challenge. This is just, I don't know. I just kind of like go out of left field. If I came up and said, I want a 20-ounce extra bone dry foamy latte cappuccino, what would you make me?
I would make you exactly that. What about some?
Yeah.
What if you don't have a 20-ounce cup?
20 ounce.
What if you don't have a 20-ounce cup? Would I get like 2 12 ounces and then like an 8 ounce?
Oh, but you know, in a coffee project setting, we sometimes get that people come in and want to ask for like a large latte and all that. But we'll just, because most of our drinks are one size except drip coffee. So we'll be like picking up this cup and say, sorry about that, but our latte is one size. Would it be okay for you? And they'll be
Perfect.
like 99% of the time, they'll be like, yeah, sure.
Isn't that easy? Isn't that so easy? You could just say, hey, sorry, but this is what we have. Not sorry, but hey, this is what we're excited about. This is the best size for this drink, and we're just going to make you the best drink. If you don't love it, let's talk about it. Maybe we can work out a deal or something.
Yeah, we do have people who insist like 16-ounce cappuccino, but there you go. They get 2 mini 8-size cappuccino and they walk away.
And there's you don't have any to-go cup. I mean, you don't have any travel mugs or any ceramics. Is that all off the shelf for now, or is that being reintroduced slowly, or what do you see the plan for that?
Most likely introducing it slowly. Like right now, we don't have the mugs on the shelf for people, but the barista also get creative with it. They take if the customer wants it in the tumbler or like a reusable cup, they place it on the countertop and then contact us. They will pour onto the tumbler or the to-go cup, and they could still get like very decent art on top of it.
Mhm.
Okay, yeah. And how about the flow of traffic? Is it? I mean, this is New York City. A lot's going on. Something about the governor or the mayor or something. I don't even know what his name. I don't know. I try to stay out of politics, but like something's going on in New York City. Are people back in cafes full on? I mean, what's your I don't want to say like what's your P&L statement altogether, but like are you back to normal yet? I'm assuming not, but
I hope we're getting there. So traffic has been like incredibly slow. Maybe a lot of people left town because real estate rent is really expensive in New York City. So if they can work from home, then they rather maybe move somewhere else and then like do whatever they do for less expense. But one thing that's for me worth celebrating is at least a lot of people are getting vaccinated. And very proud of the team because I think 90% of us at least have the first shot.
Yep.
And then almost 70% of us has already completed our second shot.
And in New York, you're on a list like for food service in New York, you are able to get a shot. In Nebraska, I was able to have access because I do like Meals on Wheels volunteering, but still baristas here are like, how did you get it? I'm like, I don't know why you like food service should be frontline and ready to go. And of course, Anita, you're in a state of Texas where everything is back to normal, right?
Yeah. Our shops, multiple shops actually posted that they will still be following CDC guidelines. And Austin just announced that they will be following CDC guidelines too. So I think the best choices, as you were talking choices earlier on, like some has chosen to serve in a certain size cups because she believes that this is the best size. We as a distributor or Marty as like supplying machines, we make the best choices for the customers so they don't have to go around and think too much about like what to choose. So for I guess shop owners to make the best choice for their baristas is just to get everybody masked in when they come into the shop for now, because you're not entirely sure if those guys have been vaccinated yet.
Yeah. And do you feel like
to protect your baristas? Yeah.
And are you based? You're not. I don't think you're based in Austin, but pretty close. I think you said Houston.
Houston.
Yeah.
We're 30 miles up Houston, so we're in an area called Spring.
Okay. And do you feel like the community within Austin? I mean, is it supportive of keeping the baristas?
I think we are a mixed bag here.
Yeah.
So it's pretty mixed. But I guess all the coffee shops, we have frontline. We have people working in the front line. It's the same as what Sum is going through as well. We, as shop owners, we have to protect our staff. Like the person who comes in work with me at the warehouse, everybody has a mask on. Like being aware that if somebody is sick, then your whole team is down. So you have to close your shop. So I think that doesn't really calculate too well.
And Marty, how about in Kansas City? What's the atmosphere like? You're always wearing a mask, and you're a technician, so you're going to quite a few different coffee shops in the same day. I would think that you should be on that frontline shot vaccination list too, because I mean, you're mingling with all these baristas. You're responsible. How
Yeah,
are other people
that would
acting?
make sense.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't argue that. Anyone that's out there, keeping the food stuff going and
Yeah.
things and dealing with the general public should have early access to that. I would agree.
Mhm.
But as far as what's going on in Kansas City, it's kind of a mixed bag too, but I would say it's leaning more towards people wearing a mask and doing, the gloves and things like that. It's probably leaning more towards that. And I think part of that, even though our governor never did support that, the counties did right from the very get-go. And so the lower level government said, we don't care what he's saying, we're still going to mandate that.
Yeah.
And so there hasn't been a shift in mindset for us. And so
Yeah.
it still kind of is pretty decent as far as caring for and protecting each other.
I'd say the same here in Nebraska too. I mean, almost exactly the same. I was actually walking back from the co-op. I bought some stuff, and I realized that I still had my mask on. And there's like in Nebraska, there's like one person on a block every 10 minutes. So it's a very different atmosphere than New York City, where if you're like walking down the street in Manhattan, you probably should be wearing a mask. But in Lincoln, it's like, well, you could put a mask on, you could see someone coming like in 3 minutes. You're like, okay, someone's coming, put a mask on. But people are wearing masks without even thinking about it. I mean, it's just become habitual. It's not a bad thing. It's just really interesting to see. So,
Anita,
I don't know. That's all I got to say about COVID. Parking.
Oh, I was
Party.
just going to ask Anita. I know on restaurants and some, and she experienced it. We experienced changes, but Anita, did you guys with your business, as far as maybe products that people purchase versus other products, did you see much of a change in your business due strictly to
We
COVID?
do. We actually did see a lot more home brewers actually.
Oh,
So we are the
good.
distribution, we are the wholesale distributor for origami drippers. And those are like pour-over drippers. And we do have menu grinders and other things like niche zero as well. But we see a lot more home buyers. So like product going to home and questions about brewing. So we did see a shift towards that type of product in general.
That really brings up an idea that we've had, like that I've been kind of confronted with in the last year, where if your business isn't diversified enough, it will be very hard to weather this storm. And you just made a great point that beyond milk pitchers, you have home brewing equipment, which would you say that kind of saved, or at least stabilized your business through this? Or do you think that the milk pitcher, I mean, did people stop buying milk pitchers because cafes were,
No, they did not.
right? No, right?
They started buying espresso machines at home. So
Right. So they still needed some,
yeah.
right?
They need
Awesome.
the milk pitchers, but we do feel that it was in our plan to expand into other items as well, because we like not necessarily like 200 prints under our umbrella, because we do think that we talking about choices, we make those good choices and make sure all our products are taken care of. But I do see people still buying a lot of new pitchers. And by the way, we make it more interesting by launching new colors. So
Awesome. How many colors do you have so far launched out in the world?
too many. We have too many pink things. I think some can
Too much
compare
pink?
on that.
All right.
We have a lot of pink.
Never
stuff.
too much pink.
All right. Yeah. You have purple, you have gold, silver, blue, red, right?
Oh,
Yeah.
that pink baby picture Hope is so cute with that
Yeah.
origami cup. Oh, so cute.
Yeah, it's
Oh,
called
talk
Hope
about
Mini.
cute. I gotta talk about this sticker that I just got. This is my new collection. Can you
Oh,
read that?
that's cute.
It says coffee, 5-star coffee with a little unicorn, and it's from this place in Kansas City that's called Roast Ratings. And you get this little coffee.
Oh,
This
yeah.
is the calibration, and then you get a bag, J, and then A. Oops, I screwed that up. AM. So it says jam.
I think I'm getting mine soon.
Oh my gosh!
I got mine already.
Really?
If-
Okay, I need to
Yeah,
go
it
check
came
my
in
mail.
today.
Yeah, and I just gotta say, everybody, if you haven't, if you're out there and you want to have something fun to do, um, it's a wealth of information and a lot of fun. You get a sticker. I didn't want to spoil the surprise, but it was on Instagram. You could see it. Marty, you've seen those pictures, right?
Oh, absolutely. And it's what's really kind of nice about it is it's somewhat vetted coffee. So you're getting some really good coffee options. So
Yeah.
if you like an adventure in your coffee, that's
Mhm.
not going to be a bad adventure. It's going to be good. Um, get that. That gives you 3 samples to journey through. And you can treat it kind of like a blind taste. You can choose not to see what it is until after you've tasted and cup them, did the tasting as they prescribe it, as they direct you through it. It's fun. It's actually a
I
really fun package.
Well, I have a question then. Are you roasting in-house, or what coffees are you using?
Well, we're roasting in-house.
Excellent. And are you doing pretty high volume, or is this a new venture?
Pretty new venture for us, actually.
Yeah.
So our roastery started in 2019, right before COVID, and then
Excellent.
yeah,
Perfect.
amazing.
Slow introduction. You got to take.
Yeah, slow introduction.
Get to
But
learn
that's also,
Cropster. Yeah.
yeah, so it also gives me time to learn. So I have this really nice San Franciscan 25-pound that I just started learning how to roast on, because previously I was roasting on Mill City. So when the volume, like just now you were mentioning something about how you get to learn about something and then diversify whatever that you need to do. So other than just having cafes that we have to close down because of COVID, I literally have to learn how to do e-commerce in like tomorrow.
That's right.
Like, literally, I wake up, oh, I'm an e-commerce person, So yeah, but we roast here. I wouldn't say very high volume just yet, but enough to keep us busy to supply at least to our coffee shops, some wholesale accounts, collaborations, and we teach a lot of roasting classes right now, just to have, like, my goal is hopefully we get to mentor or like have more women roasters. Like, for me, I am fortunate enough because I'm resourceful for, this is my company. So if I decided that I want to be a roaster, I can be a roaster, but not a lot of people who have access to all this if they don't have experience.
Yeah.
So I am about to do something, hopefully, if everything works well, to invite some people who is in the coffee industry who wants to learn about roasting with us. Hopefully everything works well.
And is that a part of the certified training campus, or is that a new aspect to it? And I have this slide up. It says New York State's only SCA certified premium training campus. Does that still ring true?
Yes, this is still true. So everything that you just said is also true. We're also teaching the SCA roasting classes, but the one that I just mentioned is more of just for me, like a little bit more hands-on. I want to be able to give people an idea what being a production roaster is as a woman.
Right.
Like, what are you expecting? How many pounds of coffee do you have to carry? How do you protect your back? And how detail oriented you have to be. Because a lot of times, like when I got into roasting, I have no idea a bag of coffee is 154 pounds, but it feels like 300 pounds.
It's not right for anybody. Nobody,
Yeah.
no human.
Yeah. So
I had to unload containers of like a full container load of coffee from a semi truck, and honestly, no human should be required to pick up a 152-pound bag. Period.
It is nuts.
Yeah, it's not good.
Yeah.
But there's been advancements in the industry where that's been. So how do you handle that?
So I also really appreciate some importers who started half bagging their pouch, split bags, even though the same amount. We're also thinking about ways to help, thinking about physics, like how we have like a hand pull truck or like something that we can do to make moving things around easier. Like, think about the ergonomics in the roastery. How would you place the greens that you use most? And how would you place the greens that is roasted wherever else is? And also, one thing that we all, maybe people might forget, like in order to successfully finish a batch of roasting, you also need to think about the packing. Like putting things together, making sure shipping labels is correctly placed on the box, going to the right household, or like doing delivery. So that could have
Ah.
there could be a lot of injury, in
Oh,
the
so-
roastery.
I have a question for you about labels. Roast by or best if used by date or roast date? Which one do you?
Roast date we use.
Okay. Does
yeah.
anybody? Yeah. Okay. Well, I mean, yeah. There's a reason. I don't know. Who knows? I was
Oh,
just curious.
yeah, roast date. This is what we put on there. But yeah, I want people to be aware. Like, it is very dangerous in the roastery, so don't neglect anything. Go in feeling super mindful, and yeah, I think so.
Awesome. Is this a good stopping point? It's like 8 o'clock Central Time. It's 9 o'clock there. You're about. I mean, it's like late there. The sun's down. I've got
It's
my.
just time for coffee, Sam.
It is time for coffee.
Definitely,
Absolutely.
definitely. It's always time for coffee, friends.
And I just brewed your coffee this morning. It was so tasty. I bought 2
Thank
bags
you.
of your coffees. And
I guess
I've got
parting words times. Let's
Party-
do. Let's go
party
around.
words.
Yeah, party words. That's what it says. Partying words. Let's go around the table. Yeah, John Ferguson. That's me. You can get in touch with me here by going to YouTube or Coffee Tech Talk Tuesday on Instagram. So, and we try to do this every week, but I think we're going to do it every once in a while because we're all getting busy and it's nice out. Got to go outside and exercise. Anita, you're next on my screen. How about you want to give your accolades or your contact information or whatever you'd like to say? Any
yeah.
messages of parting words? Partying words.
Partying words, yeah. Having fun is very important when you work as well, like making sure that you have fun and safe
Yeah.
in your working environment, like what some talked about. I think I really resonated with that. Efficiency and safety goes hand in hand, and efficiency and profitability goes hand in hand too. So I see
And
my
all that
words like
together. That's perfect.
yeah, all that together. And yeah, find us on Slowpo Supply. We're always happy to like talk about milk pitcher and other brewing equipment. Yeah.
I need to order one. I shamefully have not used one yet, but I have access to a very nice espresso machine that maybe will be the perfect chance to just demonstrate that. And that's a good color too. All right,
That's a good
Marty,
color.
do you want to go next? And then the special guest will follow up and close out. our-
Sure. I want to thank both of you for coming on our crazy show. You add a lot of color to what we do, and you do a lot for your communities and you do a lot for the coffee industry. So heartfelt thank you both for doing that. And I'm Marty Rowe, Workbench Coffee Labs, and my byline, I guess, is gearing towards we're going to teach you how to fix that thing. And so
Is
I'm
that
gonna sign up for your classes.
is that a registered trademark that you have now under Workbench? We're going to fix that thing.
we're going to teach you how to fix that thing.
Oh,
Because there's
we're going to fix that thing for you because you aren't paying attention, John.
Yeah, because we've been
Registered
fixing
trademark.
stuff for a long time, and that may be my retirement, my exit strategy is that I will gravitate in from actually doing the work to passing that baton on to some talented people, and do that through the virtues of having a training facility so that we
I think
can,
you should just set up a phone like a 1-900 number and just
I
be like,
already
coffee-
do that.
coffee. I know, but you do it. You got to charge for this $1 a minute, at least actually $5 a minute. I mean, just like lawyers and accountants and CPAs are just like, I can't talk to you for 2 months. I'm too busy.
Okay.
I mean, you could make some money. I don't want you to commoditize
John,
your free time.
John Ferguson,
And I get 20%, by the
account.
way.
I'll make
I get
sure
20%
that.
of that.
Okay.
All right. So,
Alrighty. So thank you guys.
yeah,
Thank you.
thanks. And
Thank
some
you.
partying words, what do you have?
Yes, but before parting words, I just want to say that I actually really enjoyed this conversation with you folks because we have this small, really tiny tech program at Coffee Project as well. And I've never thought that I could actually understand what Marty and John was discussing with that bulge boiler and also like the heat sound. I'm like, I think I've seen that. this is just what I want to say. Like I'm so happy that I actually get to follow, like, and understand what's going on. So I'm gonna be here all the time as long as you guys are like doing it.
Hey, we did a Bill
Awesome.
Kennedy show, Coffee Tech Talk, and we talked to him for about an hour about electrostatic precipitators, and you guys nailed that one right away, Marty. I was like, I didn't think that any, well, if anybody would know, you guys would, but yeah, no,
okay. Party words, yes.
Party words, yes.
Yes, party words. But thank you for having me. It's been fun. My name is Sum, and I'm the co-founder of Coffee Project New York. You can follow us on Coffee Project NY. Or if you're interested with more classes details, you can go to academy.coffeeprojectny. There's a tons of things that we're doing. A lot of pour party, a lot of brew party. We just party all the time,
And you're speaking of partying, I apologize this episode. The waiting room, we did not get cleaned properly prior to the show, so we were unable to have you as guests in our waiting room. We didn't really have anything there. It was just like water. I don't even think it was like bubbly water. It was tap water. And I was just like, nope, this isn't going to happen today. We're not prepared to host anybody.
Is your tap filtered?
Well, no, that's what no one was allowed in that room today. It was not properly cleaned. So we just had to scratch it. So we apologize. Next time we'll put a little more effort into that and maybe have some like, I don't know, some fruit. Like, I don't know.
I'm gluten intolerant. So just.
So like, you can have fruit, right?
Yeah.
That's all I got. Dietrich, take us out of here. We're done. Thanks everybody. Have a good night.
Good night, guys.
Good night.
Thank you all.
Bye.
Thank you.